Senior Product Manager over at UKG. UKG is an HR software company. We're located right here in Sunrise, Florida. And I'm also a volunteer chapter host for Deep Station. So I live in Fort Lauderdale. I've grown up in South Florida. And for me, I truly believe that there's a tech community in Fort Lauderdale, just like Miami. And one of my goals is let's grow it and let's show everyone that we're here. So every month we're gonna try to host different events. They're gonna be in a variety of topics. Some will be interactive, some will be panels. Tonight we have a really great session. One of my coworkers, Agnel, and then his friend as well, Danny, they have a great session planned, and I think you all are really going to enjoy it. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Michael. He works here. He actually runs the Innovation Center, and he's going to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Bertov. Welcome. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Nova Southeastern University and the Executive Director of the Alan D. Levan NSU Broward Center of Innovation. A quick bit about who I am and why I'm so excited to be building places like this is I've had a front row seat to how technology moves markets, and I've helped drive some of the innovation that got us here. I built 4 venture-backed companies, and I took them through their life cycle. And I've worked with well over 1,000 startups and enterprise teams through organizations like Techstars, the Harvard Innovation Lab, MIT Sloan. I've also worked as the vice chair of the MIT Enterprise Forum, which is one of the largest and oldest incubators. And I've spent years helping founders and operators make the jump from ambitious ideas to real-world execution. Some of the work that has been very public, and some of my work has been behind the scenes. I've appeared on ABC's Shark Tank. My inventions have been on the cover of Time magazine and named an Invention of the Year. And I've been the subject of many documentaries by CNN and the Discovery Channel. I also hold multiple patents, and I wrote a popular book on early stage startup fundraising called The Evergreen Startup. Since founding my first AI startup in 2012, a passion of mine has been AI transformation. Not as hype, but as execution. How you deploy it, how you govern it, and how to use it to move forward without breaking trust. And that's exactly why the Levan Center exists. The Levan Center was created to be a true bridge between NSU and the real world, a place where innovation isn't just discussed, it's built. We're here to take incredible talent and research inside the university and connect it to entrepreneurs, investors, and companies that want to create what's next. At a high level, we do 3 things here. First, we help startups. Whether you're at the idea stage or scaling, we support founders with mentorship, programming, introductions, and practical help. Everything from product, go-to-market, and fundraising and partnerships. We also provide access to advanced tools, from volumetric capture equipment to access to quantum computers. Second, we help entrepreneurs and community partners innovate faster. If you're a corporate leader, a service provider, or a civic partner, we help you connect with founders, test new technologies, run pilots, and tap into NSU's talent and research. And third, we turn our own innovation into outcomes, translating research, prototypes, and creative ideas into real programs, real collaborations, and in many cases, real commercialization. In fact, we'll be launching a project over the next few weeks that will blow your socks off, I guarantee it. So this is what I want people to understand about the Levan Center. It isn't just a building. It isn't just events. We have an active co-working community here. Founders, builders, creators, and partners who show up, work side by side, trade ideas, and help each other move faster. It's a place where you can come in with a problem and leave with new angles, new introductions, and someone offering to help you solve it. And we want this community to grow. So if you're a founder, an operator, an investor, a builder in Florida, come join us here, and welcome to the Levan Center. Thank you guys so much.
And thank you so much. Let's give another round of applause for Hasi and Michael Bertov of the Innovation Center. It's absolutely 2 amazing folks. We're so excited to be hosting Deep Station here at the NSU Levan Center. We just want to share a little bit about what is Deep Station. So Deep Station is a global AI community of over 4,000 members. We accelerate AI education and innovation through the power of community. We have chapters here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and now also India. with over 600 members there. We have partners like OpenAI Academy and Google and NSU and Microsoft. We really enjoy bringing people together by delivering these sessions and talks, but not only that, but actual practical hands-on knowledge so that we can all stay ahead of the AI wave. Everything is moving so fast, right? Sometimes it feels like it's kind of hard to stay ahead. But by bringing all of us together, by learning through these type of conversations, we are able to stay ahead and drive the future forward. So first, thank all of you for coming. I mean, I think right now, looking at all of you, this is the future. We are building Fort Lauderdale, and we will continue building Fort Lauderdale. So thank all of you for coming today. Thank you, feel free. Sure. And now let's give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors. So we would not be here today without the great work of Miami-Dade College and also the Economic Development Administration, as well as the United States, the Department of Commerce, where they have gifted us and funded us the ability to continue driving our mission forward. So let's give a round of applause to the following: NDC, Department of Commerce, as well as the EDA. Thank you so much for our sponsors for making this happen. Let's also give a round of applause for Coffin Rawson. So Coffin Rawson is the number one CPA advisory firm in Florida. They are really helping to accelerate AI education as well. We partnered with them on a number of events, and they also help fund us as well. So all the food, snacks, everything you see here. Thank you for Coffin Rawson for helping to make that happen. And most importantly today, let's give a round of applause for Michael Bertov and Nova Southeastern University for really providing us this space to really accelerate AI education. And we're so excited to introduce our guests today. So beyond our sponsors, we would not be here without our ability to also generate applications and platforms and so forth. So if any of you need help with advice, mentorship, or anything like that, feel free to just talk with us. We're happy to help you with your solutions. Beyond that, if you want to join our community, go ahead and scan the QR code here. You can join our Instagram, our WhatsApp group chat, so you can stay ahead, our Discord channel, our YouTube channel, where you'll be able to see the live stream and the workshops that you're seeing here today. This is how you can stay ahead and how you can follow along. And beyond that, if you want Wi-Fi, just go ahead and just go to level 5 guests. This is how you can get your Wi-Fi. Don't worry, no password, no nothing. Just go ahead and click that and go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and introduce our speakers today. Agnel and Nieves Fuentes has been a wonderful community member of ours for over a year now. Really amazing stuff. Helped launch 5 days at our amazing session. He's a design engineer with UKG, but I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself in the fireside chat. And we'll also bring up to the stage Danny from Meta, really changing the game in design and AI. And we are just so honored to be able to bring such incredible folks, industry professionals, here to the stage today so that all of you can learn. So that's one thing that DeepStation does, that it brings industry leaders like Agnel and Daniel. So Agnel and Daniel, take it away. Thank you so much.
Hello. We're using this mic. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Agnel, you got it set up? Yeah. Sweet. So, thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm just Agnel's friend, honestly, and Farhasi's friend. They hit me up a few weeks ago and offered me an opportunity to come and speak with you all. So, I don't do these often, but I feel like there's a lot of value in getting together and talking in these groups, right? These community groups. So yeah, without further ado, let's actually jump one slide over. Thank you, brother. Some principles for tonight, right? This is open discussion format. We're not here to sell you anything. There's no stack that we want you to buy. There's nothing we want you to use. We do want you to interrupt us often. We want you to ask questions. Anything that you've not wanted to ask online or have been too embarrassed to ask some of your coworkers, whatever the case may be, no judgment zone, right? Unless it's a really dumb question, I won't call you out on it. So interrupt us, ask away. We're gonna have a third mic going around. Farhasi has it. So if you have something you want to say, if you want to challenge something we're telling you, if you have an anecdote from your day-to-day life, Farhasi's gonna run to you and give you the mic and you can share it. And most importantly, the slides behind us don't matter. It's all about the discussion. So I want to keep this session as open as possible. We did put together, general topics that are going to flash behind me, but for the most part, we want to see where this chat goes naturally. And at the end, we'll basically jump into a guided activity just to close out. So one more. This is the rough time box. We're going to do some intros and background so that you guys have an idea of who we are, how we came to be designers, and kind of our path to getting here. It's very different for both of us. And then we'll start, I guess we basically have to start with fireside chat, but we'll talk a little bit about where the industry is now, what we think AI is actually changing, what it's disrupting, and then how we design daily with AI in our day-to-day lives, right? So both in our jobs and then on the side. And then, yeah, the guided activity will kick off. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. Agnel, you go first, because I don't want to yap and then keep yapping.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, so if you haven't seen me before, I was originally from Puerto Rico. I moved to Miami around 7 years ago. And I actually started in the industry as a designer, right? So I already knew when I was a kid what I wanted to do in general. I wanted to do graphic design and 3D modeling. Okay? So I was like to draw and do everything on the art side of things. But then when I go to college, something changed. I had already worked with a couple clients on the agency side, music industry, different types of people, mostly on the branding side of things, right? So I was gonna go to Orlando to do a 3D modeling thing. I didn't have the money for that, so I just defaulted back to the next thing, which was computer science up then. And that's how I shifted to the software industry. Fast forward to today, I've worked in different companies, all sizes, startups, enterprise. The most notable ones are UKG and Venice AI. I started at UKG as a software engineer, where I created the design system on the component side, right? So all the coded components. And then I left for a company called Fuentes, which we basically used to remove the weights from the AI models. This was really early on. And that's how I really learned about like anything AI related. And then I came back to UKG a year later. But yeah, so that's basically my background. I've also been in the community for a while, so you might have seen me in the past as well. So I'll just hand it over to Danny.
Thank you, Agnel. All right. Education-wise, I started at UCF in 2012. My original major was finance, I think, and then a combination of like just over drinking and not studying and just having college generally be about electives and not so much about your actual. The rest of my life and do this as a career. I didn't like it. It wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do, but both my parents, Cuban immigrants, I'm first generation, so I really was between, business, doctor, engineer, one of those three sounded the best of them. So I just went with finance because it's the easiest one. Not the easiest, but you guys know. Yeah, so come my third year, the craziest way, I found this boot camp called Ironhack. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's very similar to WinCode. It was based in that area, really in Brickell when I first joined it. But this was circa 2016. I got tipped off to it by my uncle who had read the Miami Herald. And the Miami Herald basically had an ad that said, like, if you've ever driven for Uber or taken an Uber, we're offering scholarships for you to go to this like boot camp. And I'm 3 years deep into college. My parents think I'm actually on track. I'm failing everything. It's coming up on class selection, right? So for the next semester, and I made the decision to write an essay to submit for it. My background was not necessarily that of a designer, right? Besides that, the only design I really had done was, if anyone here had played World of Warcraft, I like to make my own UI. So I would change things all the time. I'd break my interface. I'd set it up so I could actually read effectively because the WoW standard UI is pretty trash. And so that was the extent of my background with it. Come this essay, I write it. It sets off this chain of events where next thing you know, we're like narrowing down a bunch of applicants to potentially win a scholarship to the school. I ended up not even winning the full ride. So I got a partial. At the time, it cost about 13 grand. I was broke. I mean, I was in debt technically because of college. So my uncle, who actually gave me the tip, loaned me the money to do it. And so it's the best loan I've ever gotten. It came from a family. I'm very privileged to have that happen. I did pay him back immediately with my first few paychecks when I got a real job. But yeah, I went to Ironhack, and that was probably the biggest decision of my life. Up until then, I was around 22, 20, 21, and I cold turkey dropped out. Didn't tell my parents, didn't tell anyone, just didn't register, let the window expire so that it really couldn't come back. I really couldn't re-register. I'd have to wait a whole semester. And I kind of rolled the dice with Ironhack. So at Ironhack, I learned a lot about really the primitives of design. And what it gave me was a focused track to spend all my time on. So I was really good at focusing on topics and going deep on them, right? But college always had me going in multiple directions. So this was the one time where I knew make or break, I had to like make something happen. So when I went to the school, I got a question right here. Shout it out, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Only because you said to interrupt.
Yeah.
So like,
Thank you.
If you're already at UCF, which got a pretty good computer science program,
Yep.
why don't you just, and it's pretty inexpensive state school.
Yeah.
Why bother learning?
Dude, the honest answer was at that point, I was probably so far gone into failing UCF that I was on the way to like getting that letter that's like, hey, you have to take a semester off because you suck and there's no way for you to recover. Like they wanted me to go to community college to make up some credits. So I knew that was shot. Did I want to go to community college and then try to work my way back in? Like, I mean, maybe I could have, but it just wasn't really a viable option. So when I saw this thing, I kind of clung to it, and it really put me in a corner where I was like, this is what I got to make it happen. And the boot camp, we're talking 9 weeks. This isn't like college. This isn't like, a really thorough thing. It's 9 weeks, but it's hands-on. And so all I did, lived and breathed for 9 weeks was literally design. Like I was in Brickell at the campus 24/7. I met people like Agnel at events that I was at. I just made it my entire life. And it slowly started to pay off. Like people started to recognize who I was. They started to give me opportunities. And so fast forward 9 weeks of learning, I walked out of there knowing Sketch. It wasn't Figma yet, it was Sketch. So I walked out learning Sketch, which I technically self-taught on YouTube because the class was going too slow for me. So learned Sketch, started to basically try to separate myself from the competition by going really deep into UI. And really it was just me copying people on Dribble. So it wasn't anything like, oh, this was my unique idea. It was just, hey, this looks really good and this person's hired by Google or someone, so I'm gonna imitate them and then make my resume to make my portfolio look as close to theirs as possible. And so that helped for a while, but I had a lot of good teachers at Ironhack. This one guy, Joel, who like exposed me in class, and I love this guy forever. I always call this out when I tell the story, because he really just kind of picked apart my design and was like, it looks pretty, but it's terrible. It doesn't actually flow together. You're leaving your user stranded at multiple points. And that really made me focus more on the UX of things rather than the UI. But to my own credit, dialing in on UI, a lot of investors in general, a lot of like CEOs and owners, no shade to them as a whole, but they liked a nice flashy UI. And so that stood out at the moment, and it helped me get my first job, in my opinion. So anyways, I know I'm yapping too long here. I got 3 more things to talk about, but Ironhack ended because of the relationships I made at that school. They had this program at the end where you basically had like a career week. So the course ends with a career week. People come in and interview you. You may get a job, you may not. The success rate is very slim. And I ended up not getting hired from that career week and got tipped off by the man that ran, I guess, connections or student connections at the course. His name is Daniel Brito. And he told me that a company called MD Live was hiring. And I believe MD Live still exists today. They're located in Sunrise, their headquarters there. And I was very fortunate to have, I came into a structure that was a real design and product team. Like I had a design manager, I had a PM, I had engineering directors, I had engineering managers, I had engineers that I worked with. The whole XFN squad was there, which is something that's very rare. I was very fortunate to have that because some people just get thrown in to the wolves, right? For lack of a better word, they just kind of have to make it themselves. And so having that structure, although it lasted a few months because a lot of people got laid off or just left the company, it set the groundwork for the snowball. So after MD Live, I ended up working for the next big fish that came, which was HCA, Hospital Quest of America. They own pretty much every hospital that you could imagine. Kendall is now HCA Hospital. The Kendall Regional Hospital is an HCA hospital. And so I worked on, basically, they had this internal system that would connect doctors with patients inside of a hospital. So they have this little walkie-talkie. It tells them, Agnel is going into cardiac arrest in room 4A. You have to get to this room. It's a very high stakes environment. So this was like not a pretty product that I worked on. It was a very functional product. Numbers, a lot of flashing colors, and mostly it's about direction. So did that for a year, traveled a lot, various hospitals, getting my foot in the door there. And actually, the way I got into Google was in a very similar talk to what is happening right now. So the school had a woman named Angela Guzman come and talk at Ironhack, and she gave a fireside chat. She was one of the first designers of the emoji, the original Apple emoji. So like the little poop emoji and the girl dancing the salsa, that's her. She's the salsa girl. She drew herself. Yeah, she was an intern at the time at Apple. And so I met her. We had a very similar background. I mean, we're both Hispanic, we're both from South Florida. And she took a shot on me, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, getting in was no joke. Like, you still had to go through the entire process, but she gave me the referral, which even started that process. And so seeing it from the inside, once I got in, it's so difficult to break into a lot of these companies. The success rate is less than 1%. Most of the time, you're just getting automated out. It's like you don't get an actual human to speak to or justify why you should be there. So getting that referral, for lack of a better word, changed my life, right? So at Google, I worked on Google Assistant mostly. So a lot of Google Home, and I ended it off with Android Auto. And that segued me perfectly because the last half of my time at Google, I was designing interfaces that were not necessarily in the user's field of view. So we had to design for car environments where they're not supposed to be looking at the actual thing. It's mostly VUI design, right? Voice interface design. And so I started to work with conversation designers, a lot of people that were fairly new at the time to the industry that are now being kind of like mumbled all together into this like general designer that we're all kind of being forced to become now with the advent of AI, right? And so, yeah, right after Google, went to Meta. I've been at Meta six and a half years. When I first joined, they had me working on, it was Meta, they called it Facebook. It was Facebook at the time, really. It was Facebook Assistant. And so it was one of those situations where they're like, okay, you have kind of background working at Google Assistant, like we want to stand up our own assistant. This was 2018. And if you guys have seen any of those products back in the day, like it's not our proudest moments, right? But it was just us getting a start and trying to emulate what did exist. So you had like, you're going up against Alexa and Google Home and stuff like that. And it's just really hard to break through that kind of barrier. But we did have the social stack, and we still have the social stack. And we got IG, we got WhatsApp, we got Facebook, we got billions of users. And there was something there. And so for the longest time, it was all about designing the brand until it finally shipped, and then I switched to working on smart glasses. So for the last 4 years, I've been on the Meta glasses, the smart glasses team, under the wearables org. And so most of it was focused on first shipping our Ray-Ban partnership, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and then my biggest project was agentic AI design for the display glasses. So the ones that have the actual projection, 600 by 600 pixel in your eye. I spent a large part of my career on that. So yeah, I'll stop it there. That's a good background on where we're at. What I want to do is maybe do a quick little check-in, how we're all feeling. I want it to be, now that you know more about us, right? I want this to really open up a bit. Right? I want to know, maybe show of hands here, who's an engineer or formerly an engineer, right? Trained at, school for that. Okay, where my PMs at? Okay, PDs, designers. Raise those hands.
Everyone else?
And then everyone. No, I'm just kidding. What else? What do you do? What do you do here?
I own the company.
There you go. Owners, CEOs. Where are we at? Okay, we got a lot of CEOs. Okay, perfect. I mean, go ahead.
I coach founders, know nothing about software, but I created an AI doctor that's been my doctor for 10 months.
That's
And I
incredible.
don't know what to do with it because I'm not a software guy.
Yeah. No.
Like, I don't know how to get out there.
Yeah.
But it's solved at least a dozen huge problems in my body.
Just keep it, dude. Don't even share that. That's amazing. Yeah, it's very diverse here. I mean, we have all kinds of backgrounds coming together. I know this talk in general is about designing with AI, but it goes more broader than that, in my opinion, right? Like there's two sides to this. One side is the happy path, where it's like we're all gonna work together and come together and become this nice hybrid Agnel version of a designer that is full stack and can do it all. But the reality is, the competition is still there. There's a tighter and tighter window, and the barrier of entry is honestly smaller and smaller, right? Like anyone can pick up Cloud Code, any of these programs, learn it in a day, and just start prompting themselves into. Yeah, go ahead. Can we get in the mic, Frosty? She'll get you the mic.
So, I didn't mean to interrupt for you in the middle of a sentence. I should have waited till you had a comma or something, but, yeah, so, you talked about your networking, with the, South Florida connection and
Yeah.
the Cuban, first generation connection. But that's getting in the door. Once you're in a big company, there's like hundreds of thousands of employees there, right? So you see here, you have your buddy from school, but after you're in, like, how do you network inside of a large organization? Like, I know, like Meta, for example, Meta Classes hired a lot of former Magical people.
Yeah.
Who network in South Florida and they work from home. Do you have your own like private meetups here? Or what do you actually do once you're in a giant organization? It seems to be like, thrown from, what is it, the pan into the fire? Like Grant probably knows. He's got the knowing look.
Yeah. No, I have a good idea of your question. Like, I'll give my take, and then Agnel can talk about how it is at UKG. At Meta, we do have a really good culture of like internal groups, and so essentially there's a group for everything, and you could start one yourself. You can make your own chapter. There's a WoW group, there's gaming groups, there's AI groups, there's whatever you want to do, and you can join it. And there's meetups, and there's funding, and there's all that good stuff. The more simpler answer is really just to have the will to actually go and talk to these people, right? A lot of people join a company and they're like, oh, I've made it. I'm safe. I'm here. I'm at this top company. There's layoffs every week. And they're getting dirtier and dirtier. People are not aware sometimes that things are coming their way. You have something like, I probably shouldn't talk about it, but in general, you have the metaverse that was sold as this really big new revolutionary thing, almost on the crypto scale. And look what just happened a few weeks ago. You know what I mean? So that stuff is still there, but if you get too complacent in your role, oftentimes you'll find yourself on the shorter end of the stick. And so it's all about connections at the end of the day. We're going to talk about that too. All these tools are great in a silo. You can feel like a genius doing all these things, but it doesn't matter if you can't actually communicate that to people around you, pitch it to the executives on your team, go up the ladder, not be afraid. Like, I remember one of the damn, I probably should, I'm just gonna say it. So I'm very candid too, and I don't care. I know this is live stream, but fuck it. It's not that bad, but it's like when I joined, everyone was terrified about talking to Mark Zuckerberg. We have an internal chat, right? There's a workplace chat. You can message any executive at the company, any person. I could message the guy that made my bread in the morning and be like, brother, that's the best bread I've ever had. And people were just scared to do that kind of stuff. And I remember there was Mark Zuckerberg loves UCF, and there was UCF event coming up. It was back when Connor was like trying to get back into it, but we all know how that ended. He never ended up fighting. But he was. I knew he was a big fan, and I wanted to see him fight. So I just called DM Zuck, and I was like, "Hey man, a few of us want to go see UCF or UFC in Vegas. Do you have any like ticket reps we could talk to?" And I swear to God, I won't show you the screenshot because that's invasion of privacy, but he was like something to the effect of, I don't know any reps, but I'll ask Dana White. And if you got, for those that know Dana White, I mean, he's the owner and founder of UFC. And so he was like, I was like, oh, sweet, yeah, like we'd just be looking for, 5 seats, maybe like in a section, like a club section or something. And he's like, club section, why wouldn't you want the floor? And I'm just like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And I remember he was like, just messaged me when the fight's announced. Freaking Connor never fought, got on the juice, got out of the pool, never fought until maybe the White House now. But yeah, there's just an example of like, don't be afraid to just like message people. Most often they're receptive and they want to talk to you, and it won't just be like an aide that answers, it's actually them. So I'll let Agnel talk about UKG.
I can echo on that front as well, because like one thing I didn't mention here, or I guess I did briefly, but when I was at UKG initially, I was a software engineer, right? And coming from that background of engineering, I was really like enclosed to myself. Like I was sort of afraid to talk to other people aside from the people on my team. And what's interesting is that everything I did when I was a software engineer there stayed there, right? So I did a lot of things on the team. Prahasi here knows. But then I left the team throughout the Venice AI part and whatnot, and then I came back when the opportunity came. But it's funny because the only person who knew about my skill set aside from my team was the director of branding, Christy. And she just knocked on my door. It's like, oh, we need someone like you because I know you design, I know you do coding and whatnot. And that was sort of my coming back to it. When I came back, I interviewed with Christy, I interviewed with the director of design. I interviewed with the VP of design as well. So it was different levels, right? But I'm mentioning this because since I came back, and again, Prahasi knows, I'm literally what he's saying. Like I'm knocking on people's door, like, hey, let's go into a meeting. Like we need something. I just like book the meeting with the person. One thing I can do an example of, the last couple months we had OpenAI Enterprise, and we had an issue where we weren't able to connect something with our internal UX team. And I just reached out to the CSO. Hey, hey, we're having this issue with OpenAI. It's like, oh yeah, you put it there, whatever. We had the meeting. I just went over it, and we were the first people who have the custom GPTs for the UX side. But this goes to say that it's really worth like reaching out to people, like getting yourself out there, like talking to anybody, because that the least is just like they'll reply back to you. So that's the best move.
Yeah, and to reiterate that, I worked for Amazon for 6 years across Audible, Ring, and Blink. And to your point, like it's all about networking, just like we're doing here. You really have to reach out to people. And with Amazon, they have so many different companies that are very siloed. So there's a lot of teams doing similar work, but it's definitely all about building your network and just building your connections.
Absolutely, yeah. Got a hand over here.
Yeah, the open hack you went to, what's the current version of that that's up to date right now that you're aware of?
The Iron Hack?
Yeah, with Iron Hack. Is it still Iron Hack? Is there something that's like that?
Yeah, so I'll let you like, I'll paint the picture for you. So basically, when I joined it, it was they had this process where you needed to basically I don't want to say prove yourself, because it wasn't that it wasn't like open for anyone to better themselves, but they had a system of like checks where it was like, are you computer literate, for example? Will you have the basic skills needed to realistically make it in the industry, right? If you're starting from zero, you need to do some more groundwork before you jump into a program like this. And so at the time when I joined it, my cohort, it was all people that applied via scholarship. So there was a big narrowing down. It was very much, it was similar to how college is, right? You have to apply, you have to show your SAT scores or ACT scores. They don't just let you in. Like even if you had the money, they don't care. They want to set a certain standard that you have to build towards. And so what I saw happen over time, and really I did voice this because I was very familiar with ownership. I was very familiar with management, with kind of like the intake process. I tried to let them know that they need to keep that standard going while potentially changing their like, I don't know, income structure. Because it almost felt like they were just taking money from anybody filling the class up, and what you end up happening is you create a bottleneck of a bunch of junior designers all in the same exact city, all competing for the same exact roles. And actually, I saw it firsthand when I would apply to jobs right when I got out of school. They were like, yeah, we've seen the salad creation app. Like the last guy showed us that. Like, what else you got? And so I have this. I gave a talk on this before, like back in the day. But I made up my first portfolio entirely. Like I just made it up. I made up clients. I made up tasks. None of it existed. I made up. I remember this one like fake ice cream shop that I did an entire like branding thing for. They didn't exist. I faked the entire thing. It was more about the process rather than the actual final output. And from my understanding, to circle back to Ironhack, I think it slowly, like COVID maybe gave it a burst of life because it kind of had that remote factor.
Yeah.
But once you stop going to these things in person, like how we are now, they start to lose their flavor a bit. And I'm sure it's similar to if any of you guys work remote in this group, right? Like it's not the same. It's nice. It's good to be at home, but when you're in person with people and you could look into their eyes and talk to them and then like be a human, right? It's much different. So when they shifted to all remote and all online, the last I heard that the class sizes dwindled significantly. People weren't signing up. A lot of refund requests came in, and this happened not just to Ironhack. It happened to other startups as well, where people were kind of fed up. Like we were sold this kind of dream. It didn't pan out for me. I want my 13 grand back. Yeah.
Just a clarified question. My question really is, what's the current version of that right now? That was designed at a certain level. What's the current?
I see.
For AI right now, are you aware of anything that would teach you what's going on with AI and how to learn it right now?
Well, the cool part, I think, and you could probably speak more to this, is like, I mean, leveraging obviously AI to teach yourself. My AI was YouTube. I still think YouTube University is the best university on earth. Like, no matter whatever lecture, whatever college you can go to, whether it's Harvard, and I work with everyone from all these backgrounds, I've learned more on YouTube than I've ever learned in a classroom. You can control your own pace. It's self-guided really, and you can find exactly what you want. AI is just an extension of that, where you can almost point videos at these things and then tell it to break it down in different ways. So teach me Figma instead of watching it. So
Yeah, especially today. I mean, we have all these tools available, and most of the things I learned practically, like I learned through YouTube. Honestly, like everything else was just like theory and the thinking behind it. But like really, what made me like go to where I am today was just YouTube or videos online in everywhere. There was one more question here.
go ahead.
When it comes towards companies like Google and Meta, they typically try a lot of ideas and sometimes pull projects. So like in those cases, like how do you navigate the waters, especially if you're on one of those teams, especially if you invested a lot of time and knowledge to develop these skills to keep yourself more versatile without kind of losing focus, because I'm sure that's a difficult challenge. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on both within like Google and Meta, and then also on the UKG side too for Agnel.
Yeah, and maybe repeat the question for the live stream.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. So what's the name? I can't read it from here. Can you say your name out loud? Nadim. Yeah. So Nadim asked, how can you navigate? I'm going to paraphrase. How can you navigate? Kind of working on one topic at a company when the company suddenly shifts, and how can you remain relevant? Am I kind of getting that? Like, how can you set yourself up to not be the first one out the door if they pull the plug? I'll give you some background. So I've definitely worked on teams that have had cuts. I've made it 6 years, more than 6 years. So I think that I've been doing okay, right? The thing with these companies is they always keep you, no matter what or how you're performing, you always kind of feel like you're underperforming. Because the way that performance is laid out, and it's, by the way, only going to get worse with AI, you have to almost write a self-review twice a year and get reviews from all of your peers. And before it used to be that you could ask specific people, and you can imagine people spike that by saying like, hey bro, like please hook it up. I need you to say that I worked really well with people management and make yourself look good. So they caught on to that, and now what's actually starting to happen is AI is doing this review for you, which is kind of scary because the more we let these systems into our day-to-day life, right? I'm sure no one in this room would be comfortable with something watching their computer 24/7 and then spitting out a summary, right? Because I know you're doom scrolling. I know you're opening new tabs. I know you're not working if you're working remote most of the time. So circling back to that question, right? Like I made sure that I never got too deep on one specific thing, even if that was the thing that I was in charge of. I kept, at Google, it was much easier because they give you a 10% project. Like everyone universally had budget, let's say, time budget for a 10% project. So you could choose 10% of your time to work on whatever you wanted. This is how Google basically farms your ideas from you. So you work on the side, you have infinite budget, they give you a nice room like this, and then that idea that you made at Google is now theirs. So it's good, but it's not yours fully, but it keeps you relevant and the gears turning and you can work on improving other systems. At Meta, it's a little different, but since things are so intertwined now with AI, like AI really is the one constant. So I worked on the AI team, right? But I still have my silo. It was smart glasses. So if smart glasses didn't pan out, if we didn't actually hit, a decent revenue stream in a certain amount of time, the same thing as the metaverse, right? They're going to pull plugs on certain aspects of it. And you have to have diversified yourself enough to the point where you can say, yeah, but I was also involved in this and I was also involved in that. And I've showed my value in these different areas prior to that occurring. At the end of the day, if it's your time, it's your time. Like I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that there's a foolproof way to avoid that sort of pivot in a company. But if you're working at the point that's closest to the earliest iteration of like where AI is at, I always try to make that my staple when all my careers. Like at Google, I worked on Google Assistant. AI was nowhere near where it was now in 2018, but I was working on the groundbreaking stuff, which at the time was like setting a timer and playing, Justin Bieber on your Google Home. But it slowly started to change, and I tried to ride that wave of relevancy with the Android Auto, and then there was something there with the voice design where it was like, the best design really is no design. It's no UI. Like when you can get to the instant point where when you say something, it just happens and it works like that. That's what we're all trying to achieve. So stay on the cusp of stuff. If you're not on the cusp of stuff, work your way towards it. Don't get stuck on something that you have a bad feeling about and or see the trends changing. Most of the times the signs are there, right? Like the usage is down. There's statistics internally, not speaking just about Meta, like in general, your company should have a data science team, become best friends with that team, because that team is the ones that holds the keys to all the queries, and they're going to tell you, yeah, the usage is pretty down on that actually. And there's your tip off. So
That sounds so specific.
yes. Right
Yeah,
here.
I'm gonna start by adding some value to what you just said.
Perfect.
YouTube is the place, because it's by minute updates. What I do, that's a cool hack, go to Gemini, ask it to find the 10 most interesting, informative, and latest videos, put it into URL form with a space between each one, drag that in Notebook LM, make an audio overview, and go out for a walk.
Amazing. Yeah,
Right?
that's
So
perfect.
it's compressing data, it's using that formulated information, and you're curating the knowledge going in. So then you can go out with some videos. Then you can do a step-by-step guide, how do I build a website off of this knowledge?
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
So I'm a photojournalist with Miami Herald, what appeals through there. The last 25 years I've been teaching as a graphic design instructor for our college, and I've been a consultant for Adobe and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm curious about the future work, especially for designers. I've been kind of scared with how quickly I got Gemini in the browser to take 10 editorial illustration ideas that it found on the internet to create a 2-page spread for the New York Times quality illustrations, conceptually outline it, and then I had the browser Gemini develop the prompts that went into the Gemini on my screen, and I output 20 world-class editorial illustrations, New York Times worthy publication in 1 hour. And it kind of freaked me out. Then last week, Cloudflare, Visa, everybody else made this whole internet for the AI. So instead of going at the speed of a mouse click, it's going at full speed 600 to 10,000 times faster than any human. So now you put those things together, what's next for us?
Yeah. I don't know.
Nobody knows at this point.
I'm terrified. I do think, though, that for the time being, in the first part of your answer, that the constant was you. You did all that.
Yes.
AI, you're the director. You have to remain the director. You cannot become an operator. Because when you become the operator, it's pretty much over. You're just loosely. It couldn't have happened without your prompts, and so.
Yeah, in fact, I use the word Steven Spielberg,
Mhm.
but I've got an army now in my pocket,
Yeah,
so I can make a movie.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's creative, it's the human, right?
It is. It really does go back to the human at that point because the systems are going to they're going to outlevel us. I mean, they already are in a way. They can do things that we can't. AGI hasn't even been achieved yet, but when it does, that's what I'm actually scared of. Because I just see that as the Pandora's box.
So if every product is the user experience you care about, it doesn't know what it is to solve cancer. It's not going to go get it on its own.
Yeah.
So you're the director of everything you do. So if you've got great ideas from music, a song, or design, that's all. We get to be more human.
Yeah. One of the quotes I have, we should cycle through this stuff, by the way, because
Yeah.
we have more slides that answer these. But one of the quotes I have not pictured here
That
is
was
that
your question too.
AI predicts the future from the past, right? And I love that when I read it because it's so true.
Yeah.
Like, it's using the past as a reference. We're not still at that point where it's surpassed us and been able to really go past, the human mind and just start coming up with completely bespoke concepts. That's the part that's inevitable. We can't control that. I mean, that's just is what it is. Right here in the front.
Okay, my name is Antonio. I'm product manager. I have been
Mhm.
working in a bank as a product manager, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared because I know the tsunami coming, okay? And in a tsunami, you don't know who is going to be taken, okay? It's just random, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm having a lot of fun. I learned how to develop in December using Cursor AI. I'm in the middle of developing an app, okay, by myself.
Yep.
I feel that a video game. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
totally addicted. I just
No, it's a
want
rush.
to come back or just to keep going until 1 in the morning, okay? So, but I'm having, first, what, as a non-coder, any recommendation, okay? I'm doing Cursor AI.
Yeah.
I didn't want to step into cloud because it's too much, the Cursor AI. But the other point is that I'm struggling in the UX UI part, okay? It looks like too much standard.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what workflows or what can I do to really shine or differentiate what I'm doing. Okay?
Yeah.
Because at the end, how I see this becoming is anybody can paint, anybody can run, but nobody, few people can run a marathon, and few people can really paint at
Mhm.
as a level. Okay, because I think that software engineer is going to become more an art than an other thing.
Yeah.
So how can I differentiate from that perspective?
I think Agnel's your guy right here.
Yeah, so first of all, this is gonna happen like everywhere, really. So the way I am preparing myself in general, and the way I tell people is just to experiment, honestly. Like try different things. Like you said, you're trying Cursor right now. There's gonna be a lot of different tools out there to try. You just gotta get on your computer, prompt it, ask it stuff. Like we already have the information at the tip of our fingers already, right? So it's just a matter of getting creative and asking. You're afraid of something, just ask it. Say, oh, how can I be better at this other thing? How can I experiment in other things as well? We're getting a little bit ahead here, but one thing that I recommend to all my peer designers right now is to actually get into code, honestly, because, and this is happening, I can tell you firsthand. So at UKG right now, we're not using, we're using Figma for sure to design, but really most of the concepts now come from Replit or from Cloud Code or from Cursor, right? I was literally yesterday having a conversation with our VP about this very same thing, right? How do we position ourselves within UKG as a designer to, get up to speed with what's going on? And what's happening is that the designers are getting literally on coding specifically, mostly on the general terms, but this I just want to emphasize that this happens, and this is happening right now, not only on design, not only on engineering, but like in every aspect that you can think of. The best way you can prepare yourself is just like experiment, dive into other lanes.
What I see happening is that product managers now are stepping into coding and designing and stepping into coding and product management, and code developers are stepping into product manager and designer. Okay, basically the role
Yep.
is mixing. It's being mixed, and it's very interesting. I mean,
I would say it's converging. Like,
converging.
yeah.
It's converging. I mean, because the skills have changed. It's different. It's different. It's a different game.
Absolutely,
It's
Antonio.
a different game.
I'll give you an example from my day-to-day job, right? Like, for the first 3 years, I will be completely honest, I barely worked. Like, and I'm saying this into a freaking camera that's live streamed, but it's
You got
just the
it.
truth of how design was before everything became, AI able. It was one of those things where when you make it to one of these companies like Google and Meta, you very much so become like the owner of this one little thing, and then you have like some of the best engineers in the world to your left, some of the best PMs in the world on your right, a person writing the copy, a person doing the graphic design. Like, there was a specialty for every single thing, and my job was really just that of an orchestrator. Like, I worked, but it wasn't like the amount of work I'm doing now, which it shifted. So at some point about a year or a year and a half ago, things changed, and what you described started to occur more. These lines kind of got crossed, and I found myself almost,
Yes.
it feels like I'm overstepping the PM and overstepping the engineer, because the executive is expecting me to come to the table and present an end-to-end solution, and they're not willing to accept stills anymore. I can't just get passed on screenshotting something and making a deck and then pitching it to them. They're like, okay, but show me how it works. And it's like, before you could say, okay, well, wait, I got to get my engineers to stand it up. I got to work with them to make the test environment. No, now it's like the expectation is on me to have all that done. By the time I've pitched the idea and it's gotten funded, my engineers and PM are like, what the hell did you do? Like, you skipped their entire, the TPM is yelling at me. I mean, we have all these other roles that are we're overstepping them. As designers, you're just stepping on their toes. And it's one of those things where what you mentioned has to occur. Those people need to upskill themselves. And it's setting up to be kind of like a growing pain for the time being, where you are in a way doing a lot of other people's jobs in front of them. And
Yes.
if they don't level up, then that's the people that will eventually slowly get cut down
Yeah.
the line. And the first sign that I saw of that happening, some of my best friends at work, they're conversation designers, or they were conversation designers. Meta mandated that all conversation designers convert to PD, and they made them reloop. So you had to learn all the tools that I learned. You can no longer stay idle and just design the LLM and give feedback to an LLM. You had to actually learn Figma, learn Claude, learn how to prototype, learn all these things. And if you didn't learn that, your time was coming.
Man, it's crazy because l- that's happening in UKG. Like,
Yeah.
literally everything he said, like, I can 100% confirm on my side as well. Like, I don't have anything else to add there.
Yeah, like you could in theory do my job today. If you put all that stuff that you're doing on the side together, and if it was like in a job environment, there's no reason why you couldn't just go and pitch that yourselves as either a PM or whatever you want to call yourself role wise.
But I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but
But-
so
I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah,
But it's working.
that's a perfect quote.
The point is that it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a poster he has in his work.
Yeah.
I
That is-
looking at the app is working, and I don't know what I'm doing.
You know what that means, by the way, for engineering? You know what that means, by the way, for engineering? There's a term called shadow IT, where you get out more features than you can think of, and then you have this roster of tools and things that are hovering around in the org, especially if it's a large organization. And then you're gonna have to have the engineers go back and retrospect and
Yeah.
fit everything together to make it work. We have another question down here.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yep.
Meta or UKG, former Ultimate Software. Did you guys change your software development lifecycle to be more AI powered, where you are a orchestrator of coding agents or multiple coding agents using Git work trees?
I can there. So right now, it hasn't fully changed on itself completely, but I can see it coming. Like for example, today I was helping my the VP of design like getting hooked up with Cloud Code, right? Just because that's a new thing or whatnot. I have my fellow designers are using Replit to code as well. You can have like the the thing just code the whole application from zero to an actual database and using it. So it is for sure happening right now. I think the reason it hasn't happened yet is because it's too abrupt and it will be, they have to think about it well for, the structure of the people and whatnot. But I can see it happening within the next, I don't know, 6 months probably.
What about privacy and security issues?
Yes, that's another huge thing. So he's asking about privacy and security issues. I am a huge advocate for it. I come from really technical background, right? So since I'm right now, I'm actually kind of happy that I'm in design now because since I already know all of these things in the background, I can just come up to the people that are vibe coding things and ask them, oh, are you using the API that we have approved in the company to do this thing and whatnot? And what's happening is that most of them are not. So right now I'm in a conversation where I'm sort of pushing back on an integration where they're using an LLM to come up with an actual UI that is replying to you, but the LLM is not approved, right? So it's like a separate thing. So that right there, privacy and compliance is going to be a huge thing, or it is a huge thing.
It is, yeah. And privacy-wise, that's why we try to keep a lot of stuff in-house with just Meta AI, right? Like, and that slows down development because to the gentleman's question, to answer that, like, we don't have the same luxury of just being able to, put up Claude on my computer and then like go and ship it and overset my engine. Like, no. They have their way of doing things, and you can do it to a point to get an idea across. But for the most part, a company that large, it's not going to be changed that quickly. Like it's a lagging thing. We're only just starting to work with other tools outside of our initial stack. But I see the wave coming where everyone is being encouraged and empowered with either budget or tooling to basically go wild on their own. So something I see a lot at work now is almost every Wednesday, someone's giving a lecture on some other tool or another. And they're doing it with funding from work to like this exact thing on Zoom, and they're teaching you how to do this other tool that may or may not be adopted by the company. And so it's really easy also on the flip side of this to just get stuck on like tools and just like, oh no, but the cursor is better than Revit and Red blah. Like, at the end of the day, if you can prompt, like these gentlemen have mentioned, the human element will still be the differentiating factor, right? You don't even know what you're doing and you're doing it. Like that's the difference, man. Yeah, nothing is separating us. At that point, go to the next slide real quick. This is what's changing. Speed of iteration, right? As you all are aware of, I don't need to double tap on that. The barrier of entry is lower than ever. Anyone can do this. I thought the barrier of entry was low when I got into it because I had no degree, no background, no justification. I was getting hired. I was getting hired with benefits. And I was like 22 and my mom was like, yeah, but you're going to go back to school, right? But my mom still every Christmas asks me if I'm going to finish my college degree. I swear to God. And I'm like, no, mom, like it didn't hit her until I got a job at Google. And then she was like, okay, I know that name. Like, that's pretty good, but I still want that degree. And so it's a topic of discussion every Christmas. Yeah, and then direction over execution, right? Like you're only going to get better in time with or without it. I mean, use AI to leverage how to get better. We're going to do a quick session on that, on how to set up a framework as a designer to get your AI to basically the way we were coining it was PMing your design. So, you can set up a structure on your own, whether you're doing something on the side, like a midnight coder is, or working at your main job. It all depends on the scope and size. But you can set up an easy framework like we're going to do later that you are able to test your designs with, that you're able to brainstorm, even if you don't have other people that are on your team with you or on your idea with you. Yeah. Question in the middle? Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I think you already answered a lot of that. So, like, with your breadth of knowledge now of different industries like healthcare and probably your friends in defense and hardware, definitely. Like, you know, in a lot of these industries, you can't just just hack along and not know. You have to validate the code. You have the real world constraints of hardware. You have the defense industry, all the FDA approval. So even inside Facebook and Google, I'm sure you can't just internally share information with other groups too. So what's just a general best practice that you've learned through maybe your own experience of how to use AI in a compliant manner, just in general?
Yeah, I'll give you the corporate version, right? And I'll let Agnel talk about the non-corporate. So we have the luxury of, obviously we have Meta AI, right? And we have an internal tool called MetaMate, and that's our internal AI. And so you're able to, in a privacy approved way, query this thing about stuff related to confidential information, right? So I can't just go and open Claude or ChatGPT and then type in like something related to my project that I'm working on, because you know they're screening for that and they're going to find something, and that data is going to be somewhere on some other server. So we use these internal tools to basically fact check ourselves, check within the company. It's made things so amazing, to be honest, because I can find what used to originally take me hours to locate a doc from some designer that had been laid off 5 years ago, and I can't find their thing because their profile's deactivated. I just query our internal system and it brings it up. So I'm very lucky from that perspective. The one thing that I will caution against it, and it felt like a Black Mirror episode. I was in a meeting a few days ago, and we were, not to get into specifics because I can't, we were ideating around this new product and who we wanted to represent that product, right? And on the call, like people almost ran out of like ideas just from their own brain. They were like, well, let's just use the internal AI tool. And it goes back to that quote where I had flash where it's like AI predicts the future from the past. And it felt like I was seeing an echo chamber in real life where we're querying everything that's ever been posted internally and having that generate ideas. And we're just going in this circle where like we're just echo chambering the idea and then backing it up because our internal AI told us that it's a good idea. And you know how AI is, it'll be like, that's sweet, yeah, great job, use this, and that looks awesome. And they were just like okay with it because it goes back to people being so scared about having to show impact so that they don't get laid off, that they're like desperate for any sort of impact that they can squeeze out of anything. And they'll use whatever they can get their hands on to find that impact, even if it means old data. Like essentially that's what it is. It's old data. It's not a net new idea. You're just cycling the same slosh of Google Drives, spitting out an answer picked apart from various other people that have put together unique answers, and then repackaging it as your own, and then pitching it to an executive that maybe doesn't know about it, and then praying.
It's a human centipede.
Yeah.
What I can say on that front is it's pretty similar, but like if you want an idea, for example, if you're working with something that it's really sensitive to your personal information, like I do this a lot, so you can run a model locally. You can run it locally, disconnect from the internet if you're too scared about it, and just have it there. Like for example, I do that with my. You mentioned the medical stuff. I do that with my medical stuff too. I don't like to put my medical information on OpenAI or anything like that. In Venice, our main thing was to be privacy, right, focused. Like that's what Benny was at its core, and that's why we were working on removing the weights, the training weights from the models. What that means is that the model is no longer tied to the guardrails that it has from it was designed for, right? Like if I asked it about something about Trump, and would just give me the whole thing, you know what I mean? So, and because of that, we had a way for us to communicate with the model directly with our servers through a proxy, right? It didn't go to the OpenAI servers or anything like that, and we had the models hosted in our site. And that for me, like, blew my mind. From that point onwards, I was like, no, I'm not doing anything on OpenAI or anything like this, you know, that is really sensitive because of that same reason. Another example I can give you is that anything that you pass into the models today, that can surface in any, like, you know, judge case, like anywhere, including personal information as well, like medical records or whatnot. So again, that's why like I'm really skeptical about that sort of thing, but that will give you an idea, you know, if you wanted to really run like personal stuff, PII or anything like that, you can just do it locally. You have a question?
Yeah, maybe one of the last few questions, but so one of my questions is I'm building a lot. I'm an engineer, developer, and I find myself, I remember that earlier you kind of mentioned that you're not necessarily always in Figma anymore, you're kind of using Cloud Code and developing, right? So one of my questions is,
what MCP servers are you using? Are you seeing more connections now to, let's say, Cloud Code, where it's able to generate, let's say, Figma for you, or things along that nature? Because, for example, I know that ChatGPT, right, they just integrated Figma and a few other items. Are you seeing more of a trend towards having the AI make those type of designs? And two, for your prompts, do you like to use any particular role play? So, for example, I like to use Johnny Ive and a few other favorites,
Yes.
right? In terms of design, and then I have it, use a web browser, and I actually have it look at my web browser for it to analyze my website, so that I don't necessarily have to do all the grunt work. At the very least, will help me get a lot of the rough edges. So, what are some of your insights when it comes to both MCP server integration as well as prompt?
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, but essentially he's asking like if on my day-to-day I'm using an NCP server integration with something like Cloud Code, or and I'm repeating this for the live stream, for like Cloud Code or like a certain prompting patterns for my own projects. On the first question, yes. So I use a lot of the NCP integration actually at UKG. Like I did a thing for our internal design system that communicates with Figma and back to my local instance. And then that's how I do most of the things. And in the personal side, on my side projects and things like that, I also do that. So for example, if I'm really, sometimes we have the sort of like the writer's block, but for design, right?
Yeah.
If I only get, I don't know what I'm gonna do right now, I just prompt it, right? I just go into a model, prompt it, and see, okay, might be the right direction. Then I'll just, with my knowledge that I already have, I just tweak it. But to answer the question really quickly, I myself, I'm finding that I'm most of the time using AI from the code side to the design side of things. Maybe I don't even go to the design side of things unless it's branding or really motion specific or anything like that. But if it's UI based, most of the part I just like go through the model itself. For the second part, I do use a lot of prompt examples from people. The best example I can give you, and I've been using this lately for a product I'm working on. Sometimes I get a couple people and I describe them, right? Just the AI will already know about them, but it will center them into the direction I want it to go, right? So say, for example, I have a business panel where I have Peter Thiel and, these other people there, and I just really describe them to the T of what they should do to me. And then what it does, like I just validate ideas back and forth. So I do that a lot for design, for personal, for engineering as well. So yeah, that's that. You have anything to add?
I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Agnel and I'm so impressed because like a lot of the stuff that he's doing, I haven't even gotten to. And to answer your question, I feel like sitting here, I'm realizing that I'm becoming old school. Like I still like to draw the little connection on my prototypes and make them myself because I know how to make them and I know all the hacks and tricks and I do it faster than any Figma make could do it, or I like to think I could. And my whole thing has always been centered around my ability to pitch and my speed to have an asset to pitch. And so oftentimes in my role, I'm required to stand up a product experience very quickly. Like we're talking, the days keep getting shorter and shorter. It used to be months, then it was weeks. Now it's like end of week. Can we get something like just in front, like just as a pre-read? And so
in an hour.
Yeah. So I find myself, I'll be completely honest with you. The first time that I had to fully rely on AI to get part of my job done was last week when I needed a pretty complex animation to be completed, and I did not have the will to get into the Lottie files and do it myself. And I just wrote it. I was like, do this for me. And then I stood there and waited. And what ended up happening is actually I spent like 3 hours reprompting it. And I feel like I almost could have just done it myself, man. At the end of the day, like I was so mad. It still did the job for me, but I just wanted it done and I decided to be lazy. I'm not knocking it. It's great for other use cases, right? But like sometimes, and it's one of the things that we'll talk about on the next slide, but it's like, is AI needed in this use case? Can I use my brain before I rely on it?
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like when I go to the query box, I'm cheating. That's just my opinion. I'm just like, I've decided to not use my brain and I'm just like putting something into a script that's gonna give me something, and I'm just going to regurgitate that something to whoever's in the room with me, and I hope that they're not going to call me on my bullshit. But I can do that because I have years of experience in bullshitting, and I'm able to know, how a design is made from start to finish and back up my thoughts.
Yeah.
Center, go ahead.
In the previous screen that you had, you said that the barrier of entry was a little lower.
Yeah.
How do you really think that it's being lower, for example, for juniors? Because from seniors, I've been seeing that it's a little difficult to even get an interview in other places. And the friends of mine that have been applying, they've even been interviewed with AI assistants and still not getting the job. Do you happen to know how is that affecting the corporate?
Yeah, so I'm gonna repeat his question. So basically, he's asking about interviewing and the lower barrier of entry. Is that it? So I think, and I don't know, if Danny, you could back me up here, but I think when we mention lower barrier of entry here, is not really specific to the interview part, but it's mostly specific for new technologies and new processes and things that you can actually jump from zero to actually like getting, I don't want to say hero, but getting proficient or something at least, to have something to show for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that interviewing is a whole another animal, and it's something that I feel like I have a pretty good idea about, and I've coached a lot of people on it on the side. Not for money, not for anything. It's just like someone reaches out on LinkedIn, they're really kind in the way they reach out, and I'm just like, you know what, I got 30 minutes, let's do it. So I have multiple people that I still keep in contact today, and I walk them through the interview process. But those people, they have had some work already, right? So they either went to a formal institution like a college or university to take human-computer interaction or some sort of software engineering background. It's infinitely harder if you're going to try to, garage band yourself into this design role and then think that you can just land an interview at one of these companies. You'd have to really impress them by shipping something, so then have that foot in the door where you have, a portfolio piece that you can actually share. But I think that interviewing is a whole other animal, and there's a specific pace that you need to take it at. And I'd be happy to connect with you or anyone else offline on how to go through that panel. But
and
what's over here?
Two more quick questions, and we'll move on to
Yeah.
the next section.
Totally.
Can you go back one slide? So you said that already you mentioned that it's iterating, ideating, deep research. That's what AI is doing. What are you doing?
Yeah, go to slide.
What's the hard line, the Chinese wall?
One more.
One more?
Yeah. Boom. There you go.
There you go. What am I doing what am I doing that the AI is not doing for me?
Yes. So where's the hard line between what AI does really well, that you let it do it, and then your property is the human side?
Okay, so if there's one thing that you have the power of today is your experience and your knowledge on a specific process or topic. So every company, every situation that you're on has something different, right? So whether, I don't know, like you have, the best example I can give you is if you are a lock picker, you only know how to pick the lock because you have that experience, right? Because of that, you can really explain it. So it is the same case for processes and things like that. So to answer your question, the question was that what I was doing, what am I doing that AI is not for me? It is a part. Like I just explain the things that I have the background on, and then I'll just have it like sort of expand on it a little bit, and then I do this a lot. Like I like to see the thought process of every AI model response, even if I have to be there, like reading the whole thing. Yep. You'll see, Grad knows this as well. Like even for coding, and perhaps you'll see me, for coding specifically, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not the package, blah, 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 and then I just change it. So, and I think it's really important because, especially if you know your domain, right? If you have specific domain knowledge and you see something that's not going right, that's your best superpower.
To add to that, you have to learn other people's roles and then get better than them at it. And it sounds bad, but like if you're just a designer and you're really good at framing a problem to AI, you can build your solution. That's fine. Then what? What happens when you have to look someone in the eye in a room and actually pitch that to them, get secure funding for that idea, talk to the various XFNs your engineers can't ship on time? What are you going to do? Who are you going to talk to? How are you going to fix that issue? Like that's the part that AI can't do yet, right? It might think that it could, but I don't think that it's not doing it at the highest levels, is what I'll tell you, right? And so,
Example, someone just gave, he
Yeah.
doesn't know about UX or UI.
Exactly.
He doesn't know UI.
Yeah.
That's his bottleneck.
That's the world-class UI like Johnny Ive, et cetera.
Yep.
And then help me with that part. And
Yeah,
then when you say that, so the
sorry,
human thing
sorry.
is.
Yeah.
So we're kind of running a little low on time now, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have one last question, and we'll move on to the guided workflow.
Okay.
All right.
Amazing, one last question.
Thank you guys for your insights. We know a lot of changes are coming. Do you have proper change management in your organizations? Or is it kind of like, good luck, figure it out on your own?
Funny, we have a great balance here. Like on our side is really, there's processes in place for sure, but it's a little bit more loose. And on his side, like, he also has he has defined processes that he can go through. On our side, it's a little loose, honestly. There are things into place that are, people are trying to do things, standards and whatnot, but I can't say that we have specific processes for everything that is happening right now. So,
on my end, Meta is making it very accessible for you to learn what you need to learn before anything, before the world changes, let's say, right? So
nice.
There are a bunch of programs internally where you can upskill yourself. Like I mentioned before, every Wednesday, most of the time is dedicated to like all these activities. I used to run, I still do now, but it's not really that viable. But when I first joined, it was called Learn Figma with Danny, and I kept that going for 5 years. And I had everyone from like PMs, engineers, anyone. I mean, to this day, I still work with a lot of people that don't know the primitives of Figma, and then they think that they can just, prompt it, and then, okay, now you have these assets in Figma, what do you do? They don't know. So the ability is there, and if it's not explicitly told to you, you should have a heads up from just like you're here today, right? Everyone in this room is scared a little bit, I think. I'm safe to say that. And so it's that fear that's going to drive your development, in my opinion. So if your job is not enabling you to be able to up-level yourself, then you need to do it on your own.
And to echo that, that's true. I just remembered, like on the US side, there's a couple people running like consistent meetings on how to use Replit and things like that. And I think that would be the best way, like because you teach yourself how to use things and you teach other people as well. Like for me, the way I learn the most is when I explain things, which is funny. Like I have to learn myself and then I have to explain it to the person. If I see the person understands or any question they ask to me, like I just learn double, right? So I think that's the best move. I think we should.
Right.
Yeah, let's switch over.
Yeah,
We got
good
one.
question. I think we'll switch over to the guided activity.
Okay.
And if you have questions too, there's going to be networking after. So
Oh, that's
Agnel
right.
and Danny will be around. You can talk to them
Yes.
and also connect with them offline. So
Yeah. Thank you.
a comment? While we're setting up, she has a quick comment.
I want to say something. I have been working for more than 20 years with IT controls, information security, audit, information security, governance, compliance, and risk management, information security risks, and data privacy. So it's very interesting listening to you. And what I want to say is companies, Meta, Google, and any company should have formal information security policies, data privacy policies, IT controls policies, IT risk management policies, formal policies, procedures, and standards to be applied in the whole company for any department, including your department.
Yep.
You are developers. I guess you are working for the any IT development, software development teams or something like that. So you should follow developing with AI tools or new AI tools in the company, whatever that you are touching related to AI, should be follow the company policies, procedures, and standards, and defined by the company, because you are part of the company and you are developing tools for processing data, company data, and customer data, and provider data, etc. So you are not working alone. Using your AI tools, you should follow company policies, procedures, standards related to security, privacy, compliance, etc. So you develop your tools, and internally in your team, for example, the design team, should be people, a part of the designer, verifying that your tools, what you are developing, should be followed or being compliant with the company procedures standards.
Yeah.
Because you don't work alone. And in addition, there are other lines of defense. Your team or people monitoring what you develop are the first line of defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
To protect data security, information security. And there are other lines, second line of defense, for example, IT risk management that should be monitoring what you are developing.
Yeah.
Other lines of defense are audit and compliance.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so that there's one comment I gotta say about that. I do agree with the whole part of the compliance part. Like, it's really important. But the issue with that from my side is that I don't see people. I don't see people like sitting down,
Yeah.
reading the whole thing because they already have the tools right there, accessible, right? Before writing a prompt, I'm not gonna think, I need to read this compliant doc. Instead, I think what will happen is that the tools that you're using should have those compliance things already baked in by default, because otherwise that won't happen. I can assure you 100% at any level of the company that won't happen.
And there's a ton of privacy, we call them PXFN reviews, that we have to go through to ship anything. So if anything gets out maliciously, it would be a complete failure of process. So all the things you mentioned, I agree with. And we have, like, for the smallest things you wouldn't imagine, I'm best friends with lawyers at the company because they're paid all day to just be risk management, and they tell me no all the time, and I fight them, and there's nothing I can do because if they say no, it doesn't happen. So everything from the smallest little UI change is going through a privacy risk review, and there's multiple steps to that process to make sure that nothing bad happens. At the end of the day, we're still all humans, right? But how can we use AI maybe to catch our safety net?
That's what we're gonna move into. Let's go into the guided activity.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Questions for after, please.
All right.
Hold all questions.
No,
so
it's
we
okay.
can-
It's okay, but yeah, we'll do it right here.
Yeah. So if you want, let's see. I'm gonna do it really quickly here. So
I promise, there will be time after for questions.
Yeah.
He's good. We're good.
yeah, it's good. It should be pretty quick. So if I were, let me just start by, someone asked, I think it was you, like, how to go from like the design part if you don't really know, right? So, and Grant as well. So I usually talk to people about, and again, everything that we're gonna talk about here is a specific tool that we can use. It doesn't mean that you have to use it for anything. There's many tools out there and things that you can try with. But for example, something that I've recommended a couple times with some of my friends that are not in the design industry is Stitch. So basically, this is a experimental tool by Google right now, where you can prompt an UI into existence. Like I can say an Explorer page. I'm not gonna write the prompts. I'm just gonna have the pre-baked ones. And let me use this one. While this runs here, I'll just go over this part. Danny, if you want to go through the ideation.
Yeah. So what we're going to do today, and this is actually perfect for you, Antonio. We had a guided activity planned where we want you to be empowered to PM your AI, right? And so from a design perspective, we put together something that we go through on a daily basis at our jobs. Everything from brainstorming down to cross-checking your iterations, getting variants, making sure that it's compliant at all stages of accessibility, and then at the end of the day, ultimately shipping and making sure that handoff process is easy for you and your engineers. And so Agnel and I, in true AI sense, put this together very quickly, and we prompted a lot based on our experiences. And what we want to do is try to maybe go through it live with you guys today.
Yeah, so basically, I laugh because this was really recent. So basically what we have here is just a set of sort of like personalities, right? Zoom in? Yeah. I built it like 30 minutes ago. No. So I built it using V0, which is like a vibe coding tool as well.
Tool agnostic.
That's what I was laughing. Anyway, so we built this little tool here because, like, for us, like we were talking about, is more about the process and the thinking, parts of itself when it comes to design. Because now that you can literally like spin up, and it goes as well with coding. Now you can literally spin up something out of zero from actually like at least something to show. Then the next step is just like that part, like the process and how to do things and whatnot. So here we have a little like sort of tool where you can ask it specific things about different areas, right? Product management, getting critiques, getting automation on how to hand off content and whatnot. And here I can ask it anything about, like for example, if I have I don't know, anybody has an idea here on what to build, or I don't know.
Yeah,
You
give
have
us a
any-
live prompt. Someone, raise your hand. Maybe it's something you're working on already.
1, 2.
Red shirt.
If not, I'll do the
Do we
Hello
have a
World
mic?
app.
She'll give you a mic. She'll give you a mic right next to you.
Thank you so much. I'm Elena, and I'm working on putting information on banks across the United States into a Google spreadsheet, which would contain bank size, bank's charter, and some other data. So it's the form of a Google scraper for information that we could immediately organize and put into the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the
So the final output would be Google Sheets?
yeah.
Okay.
Google Sheets with information that would be properly allocated towards criteria.
Okay, and
Looking for something design-wise, right?
sure, yeah, I mean,
With that idea, want to do an online directory. That's what you want to end up with, right?
Yes, it would be online database.
yeah.
So it would be like that, say, all the banks in the United States would have this organized information.
Who's your user? Who's your end user?
End user is business owner and also banks and also allied businesses with the insurance companies and anyone, yeah, all kinds of, anyone who would be looking for business cards, with, credit cards and such. So it would be like a major repository of information.
Got you. And would you gear it more towards you mentioned businesses, or is this also for individuals to like apply for loans and credit cards?
Of course, now it's like a gig economy, right? Like you're
Yeah.
maybe driving Uber, you may be having your own design, say, business, and you would want to apply for a credit card. How would you choose among thousands of banks? How do you apply to all of them? Maybe one of them would say no, majority of them say no, and some of them would say yes.
Got you.
So you would be able to go to one place where this information would be
How about
available.
looking for a startup business loan for a small company?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Agnel, see, he's generating what you need first, which is personas. You need to know who you're designing for and who's going to be the person actually at the end of your product, using it, searching it. So
Yeah, because the issue, if you prompt it directly to Claude or ChatGPT or anything like that, it will just give you a solution, like a general solution. But you have to really explain who you're servicing for, which was what Danny here was asking. So here I'm just generating the tool generates different personas that you can plug into the models, right? So I already have the personas. It has the the name, the possible companies that they work for. You mentioned the gig economy, right? So it has their goals, frustrations, and whatnot. Now, why this is important is because, again, if you prompt it directly to any chat tool or anything like that, it would try to come up with the quote, right? The past, and that's going to be sort of the future. So it will come up with that. So you wouldn't have anything really that is groundbreaking or anything that will solve your desired users' issues. So now that we have the personas ready, I'll just go back to the chat section and I ask it the same thing. Yep, I need to do, I don't have to specify the personas because it already has it in context.
And you can see how this kind of thing can just get better the more detailed you are, right? It's a matter of playing 21 questions with your AI. It's just knowing what to ask. And if you don't know, you could even have AI do what I'm doing with you, just asking you the questions, because it should ask you the same thing. So you could even reference, go as far as finding probably the best product you've ever made or used, your favorite product, find out that design team, or maybe if they have documentation online, point your AI at that documentation and say, use this as a baseline for when you're writing the guidelines from my experience, right? So like, if that was the case, maybe I'd use material design made by Google, okay? And I would point my AI towards that bank of information and documentation and design styles, and then use that as a reference. I mean, it goes back to what Agnel is doing here. That's all we're doing. We're giving it more context so we can build a better experience to you. A lot of people get stuck on that first prompt, or they just like get frustrated because they didn't do it on the first time. It's a reflection of what you're putting back into it. So you really need to, go ahead. Yeah, zoom slightly.
It's not zooming, but I guess I can. Yeah, it's not zooming for me. You see, this is yeah. So basically what I'm doing here is just pasting the ideation part, the response that I got from the ideation. Again, keep in mind the persona that we generated as well to create a better prompt output for this use case. So in this case, I'm just gonna send it here. And again, I can't read it. Sorry.
What's here? You switch screens, so.
Oh, this is Stitch with Google.com. So and that's what I was gonna say. So basically, this is just a tool, right? The only reason I'm using it here is because it's the simplest way I can just show you right quickly. But I could use Claude, I could use Figma Make, or I can use anything really. Now, sorry? So he's asking what's unique about this one. So it's just basically a matter of like prompt. For me, my experience with it has been really good on the UI part itself, right? Because it's really focused on the UI side. But again, you can use any tool out there. Like you can use Figma. You can use Figma now has a prompt to design feature that you can use as well. They also have Claude to Figma, which was recently it was released this week. So again, you can use any tool. The only reason I'm using it today is because it's really good for the output that we needed to, generally speaking. And then we can also like use it as a starting point in general. Okay, this was the prompt that I gave it on the other tab. This was before we actually went into the actual guide, right? So here we can see this is an actual design. And the cool part is that the design is also coded a little bit, okay? So you can copy the HTML and you can paste it in any other coding tool and have it as a starting point. You can use a screenshot. I'm a little bit on both angles, right? So I dive into engineering and design.
Yeah, this was the generic prompt, remember? This wasn't the one after we got the question.
Yeah.
We just fired it off.
So that's why it's really generic. Now, if we go to the other one, it's still going. There we go. So you see here, the interesting part is that it's generating different screens at one go, right? I didn't told it anything else other than the ideation part that it came with from this application, which is the one that we coded before, and it created this thing. Now, where would I go from this? If I wanted to create a product, then I would just copy, for example, copy to Figma, or well, no, let's not do that yet. But I can just let me see, copy as PNG. Okay, I can copy it. Actually, give me a second. Download. All right. Yeah, because I need to upload it to a tool. So now I'll just go back to the tool, and I will go to the critic. This is where it gets fun, okay? So I can upload it to the files here and say, it exports a zip file, so I need to unzip it. But basically the process is that you have to like go step by step, right? So I'll just go back here. Let me put the mic really quickly. I pasted it here. Now this file is gonna be always on context. And then I can go here to critic, select the screen that I just added, and literally say roast this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the prompt here is up to you. There's things that you could start it off with, and it gives you suggestions like you could see in the below under the center screen here.
Yeah.
But a simple example, accessibility review. You want to make sure that it's cross-checking that, so go ahead and fire that.
Yeah, let's do something more like functional. That's why I shifted to that. So here we're asking it to review it for accessibility. Accessibility, if you're like in a startup or anything like that, is not really a big of a deal unless you're like in a really compliance-related industry. But for enterprise, is a thing. It's really important. So here, let's see what the output was, and this is the first time I'm trying this, by the way. So we did this tool like
Yeah,
an
what,
hour
what we're
before.
using, I want to reiterate what Agnel mentioned because I don't think it's said at the beginning. This tool this isn't an app, this doesn't exist. We prompted this, I swear to you, 5 minutes before we started.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open the repo, like
Yeah,
for
we'll,
everyone.
we'll share all this
Yeah.
with you, exactly how we prompted it. But we made this thing 5 minutes right behind this place over here. And the idea was almost a challenge to ourselves, but also due to
For you
laziness
guys,
in
yeah.
general. We wanted to do it live at the same time so that you guys can see how kind of easy it is. So like it might look like it's, oh, what app is this? What are you using that has ideation, product management, critique, automation? We just wrote it to have that, and it took all the source files from what we prompted it with originally to create kind of an end-to-end flow. So like Antonio, you can make this literally in 5 minutes, put your designs into it, and now you're a design. You're not. I mean, you're a designer, but like this thing is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and then it's up to you to just kind of formulate that into your own kind of pitch.
I use V0, but again, it's any tool, right?
Tool agnostic.
I just happen to be preferring V0 for the technical aspect because you can go from, yeah, but you can use anything. Tool agnostic. His question was, what tool was
Yeah,
this?
we don't want like I try to say at the start like subscriptions cost a lot of money, and we're not trying to pitch one over the other. Like I have no attachment to any of these things. If anything, I'd prefer if you use Meta AI, to be honest. But yeah, like this could any of the blockbuster flagship models that I won't name, you could use.
Yeah, and to his point, like there's tools happening every day, every month, you know. So maybe this tool that I'm using today for generating this app won't be relevant in the future. Okay.
Does these or any other apps that you know has an NCP that you can connect to an assistant like OpenClaw or something like that?
You mean this tool here?
That one, for example, the stage.
Oh, the Google one. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not going too deep into the products itself. I don't use it, honestly. Like for my own work, I don't use it. So I'm not too versed into it. I just use it. His question was if there's any MCP tool to connect to Stitches. I can't say anything more than that, honestly. But I'm sure there should be a ways to do more complex things at some point, probably.
Do you want to show the prompt that you use in V0?
I can share it afterwards. I can share everything. So his question was if I will show the prompt that I use in V0.
We'll drop it in the YouTube channel. We'll drop it in the YouTube description.
Yeah. We can have all those links for you available.
Yep.
Which tools do you actually use for doing Figma?
Okay, so he's asking which tool do I usually use for UX? Tools. Yeah. Okay, so what tools do I usually use for UX? Me, myself, as I mentioned, like I use a lot of Figma. I prefer Figma for most of the granular parts. I like him, I started with Sketch. I started with Photoshop on the UI side. I moved to Sketch. Photoshop was a pain for UI. But anyways, I moved to Sketch, and then I moved to Adobe XD, and now I'm in Figma. I use most of these tools, right? So I can express enough why I don't dive too deep into a tool, and it's because like there's new things coming up every year. Unless you're in a big company like on our case, there's Figma is basically the leading one, right? So right now I'm experimenting with one called Paper, which just so happened to be released this week for the desktop. I've used it on the website as well, but just to answer the original question, just use any tools that you feel comfortable with and you have the best output with. For us, Figma is best because you have more granular control.
Well, you have to understand too that we're coming from design systems that are more often than not existing, right? Like all this stuff kind of has already been done over years and years of iteration, the old school way, the manual way, and there is people that their role is to actually integrate with these other tools a lot better than we could, right? So like most of my day-to-day, I'm actually working off of existing screens to reformat design so that my engine, I mean, at this point, it's become the old school way, right? Like I'm using Figma, I'm going to a design system, I'm using symbols and all that stuff to build my thing together, and if I need it bespoke, I just do it myself. Hold on,
And
he has
this
a
is-
follow-up.
For granular updates, do you use AI or always 100% Figma?
For granular updates, he's asking if we use AI.
I'll let you go first. I do have my answer.
I personally don't. I like to have my hand on everything I make, and I don't. Damn, I sound like a boomer, don't I? Like I just don't trust it to do it right. And even if I did, I'd double check it a million times. And
Yeah.
so that's just me. That's just unique to me. I don't operate within my field specifically has transformed now that I have 6 years on my belt at the company to where I'm not like a production designer. I'm not like shipping the final Figmas to the engineers. I'm more so shipping the concept. And to put that concept together the fastest, I just do what I do and I know how to do it. So I'm not necessarily going to trust something to generate that idea for me. I might use it in the ideation process for sure, but like I mentioned, we're only allocated to use certain internal versions of these models. And like I said before, it becomes this echo chamber of just the same idea in a different wrapper. So short answer, no, I don't.
Yeah, so in my case, I do also prefer, mainly, mostly because of the same part. I do prefer using the granular version. So there's two things, right? So whenever I want to create a net new product, net new, right? And that means not existing design system, like in our case, not existing product from enterprise or whatnot. If it was a net new product, I would just literally prompt it into a V0 or Cursor or Cloud Code, whatever you prefer, and then just have a screenshot of the output. And then I'll just put that into Figma and design it myself. That's how I usually iterate with net new things. Now, when there are existing things such as an existing design system that has, and when I say design system, this is about colors, this is about components, buttons, cards, etc., that are used within the company and need to be replicated across. If it is for an existing design system and that is a constraint, I will go through Figma because we already have the design system already created and whatnot. Now, if we do have those components available in code, then I will do the same thing in code as a net new product, but with more constraints. I will be like, oh, I want to do this thing. I do hybrid. I do half of it in Figma, do a screenshot onto Claude or anything else, and then have it use the coded components that we already have because we already have good documentation on that. And then it's the best of both worlds, of course. Another example I can say. He's asking if the coded components never go to Figma. They say in code. If I were creating the net new product or the hybrid one, there is a way now, like this last 2 weeks, to make it go from Cloud Code to Figma. But the issue with that is that it won't. If in my case, for example, we use a huge design system that we created, I can make it do the thing in code and then take it to Figma Design Canvas, but it won't use the components that we have in Figma Design Canvas. It will look really similar, but they won't be the same. If someone changes something on the design system side, I won't get the update because I'm not using those components, and that's the issue with that. Another quick example I can give on granular part is the motion part. Motion, right now, like animation, things like that, I prefer to do it myself, honestly. Like unless it is a transition between cards or something that is really simple, but if it's a motion of like gradients or morphing SVGs or things like that, I'll just do it myself. Yes, so that's actually a good point. So he's asking about Code Connect. Code Connect is a feature that Figma has that lets you connect existing design components from a design system onto coded components that you have on your repository. So basically, Code Connect allows the engineers and the design system team to connect the two. Now, why is that good? Because you already have both aspects that you need in order to work with AI specifically. So basically, if a designer, let's just step back from AI for a second. The traditional process with Code Connect and Figma was that I do the design from the design side, and then I'll just share it with my engineers, and the engineers would have something called dev mode, and then they would inspect that UI, and they will get the actual code from our coded design system, okay? With the properties that are already established in Figma. But the other layer to it, and I guess this happened almost by mistake, is that Code Connect is already really well deep intertwined into the Figma ecosystem, i.e. Figma design. And whenever you use the Figma NCP, it's just great because you already have the coded components that are communicating with each other, and it has all the information it needs. Code connect, like connecting code.
Yeah.
You have anything?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I'll just go forward to it. But yeah, so if there's any other questions, I'll be around. We'll be around. Okay, so I already went through the critic part. Next off, I can just go to the PM side, right? So if I wish I would have vibe coded like a copy tool here, so I don't have to do this. Because I don't have to
could
do
always
this
get
manually.
better.
And then I guess I'll copy the ideation part just to give it more context. And then I wish I coded like a general context that I can share across by addressing this point. Okay. So for the PM, I guess I'm gonna ask it like, come up with a way for us to integrate this with a roadmap.
Write your PRDs, give me better user stories, give me something I can share with someone that I want to pitch to join my team. Or maybe you're just, at this point, you could just be a team of one, honestly, with all these things, all these tools. But Agnel's gonna just try to one-shot it here. So you're gonna come up with a PRD, user stories roadmap that I can share. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you sit back.
Let's see.
So you type instead of whisper.
I should have vibe coded Mike. But yeah, so basically, ideally what will happen is that it would answer with an actual roadmap. Oh, there we go. See, Q2, Q3, that's all the business part.
Yeah.
But okay, so we have seen, these are part of the software development lifecycle, right? You go through the design part, you go through the ideation and whatnot. And then the last one, but not least, we get the automation part. So for the automation part, I'm gonna do something more simpler, just so I don't have to copy and paste from all over. I already have the picture. So here, I just do generate a handoff document, right? Oh man, let me do this. But basically, there we go. Generate me a handoff document for my engineers. So what it should come up with is based on the image. I didn't put any other information. I wasn't gonna copy everything. But based on the image that it's using, it's gonna use a vision model to process the image and then say, okay, this image has specific colors, this image has this font sizes and things like that. As best as possible, I can predict it. And it will come up with considerations and things we should keep in mind for creating the code. And this is actually, let's see, design tokens. You see, like these variables here, this is great for an actual design system that you're working on a product and things that you can use. So this is just an example on how to go from like, it's just a step-by-step process, right? What we're trying to convey here is that you shouldn't like go from zero to like production really quickly, just out of nowhere without any planning. And then two, you should like write down your steps by steps, like to actually create the thing. I don't know if you want to add anything there.
No. The only thing else, like this has been a matter of minutes, right? In a matter of minutes, this is not something that you could, at the end of the day, hand off right away. Okay, just to be honest, like we're giving you examples of the various phases that you can go through. I almost want one other one where it's just called learn at this point, right? Where it's like for someone like Antonio, someone else that doesn't have the formal backgrounds in different fields like design or in engineering, where it's really important to not just have this thing be developed for you as an idle standby person that just stares, right? Like you want to know what it's doing, which is why what Agnel said resonated a lot with me, where he's reading all the processing and reasoning that AI is putting out. Usually it's set up to just minimize. I encourage everyone here to open that up and actually see the steps it's doing. Some of it's actually pretty crazy. Like you see the AI double guess itself and it's like, wait, why did I do that? Like, I'm so stupid. I should have just gone back. Okay, I'm redoing that. Like it's nuts to read this kind of reasoning. But anyway, you should be doing that exact same thing too, right? Like copy paste the output, put it in a learn category and be like, teach me how it did this, so that you can dissect that information and learn the process from start to finish. Don't just rely on these tools for everything. It's not gonna work. You're gonna get to the point where someone's gonna ask you a question and you're not gonna have the answer to it. It's gonna be really embarrassing. So I saw a hand here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. So
Yes.
regarding design systems and, vibe coding as well, of course.
Mhm.
When do you like to make the design system and the Tailwind CSS integration into your system when you're using Claude Code or your vibe coding? Do you like to do that in the early moments? Do you like to put that into your Tailwind right away? Do you like to, create a separate file that's, let's say, gram guidelines.md for a markdown file? How do you approach that, and when do you approach that in the vibe coding process?
So for my end at least, I do the latter. So I prefer to take a step back and say, okay, what am I going to build? The same process that Danny here asked before. So what I'm going to build, come up with the people that I'm going to service to, and then come up with the branding part if I have a brand, because the brand will go around that same analogy. And then I just have that as documentation. For example, if I were to start a project from zero, I will get similar to how I'm doing right now. So here I'm pasting all the information that I got back from that little tool that we created. And I will have that information as a sort of micro repository with a directory of all these things. And then before running the product, like creating it from zero to actually code, I just have it like go through it, plan, understand what the brand is about, and then just steer in the right direction. It comes back to what Danny is saying about the thought process. It's a best practice. I always say this, like it is the best practice to actually like see what it's doing, because that way you know where to steer into the right direction. And for the planning part is also like important. So here, I wasn't planning to do this, but I'm just gonna take a shot at it, see what it does.
Yeah.
But basically I pasted everything that we got from here, and I'm creating an app for banks. I'm not gonna say anything else. We should already be on the ideation part.
Yeah.
I created an app for banks. You use it as informational context and plan it first, just to see what happens. But I can leave you talk.
No,
until
go
this
ahead
end.
while it prompts and while we wait. I'm very similar to Agnel. However, I stay in ideation as long as possible. And so I don't like to ship anything that's final that would be considered handoff until honestly the very end. I'll have the structure set in place because I use a lot of prompts that I've used for every project. So I mean, I can provide a lot of these in whatever follow-up or YouTube video that we put out. But you'll start to get better as you do more and more projects, right? And so there'll be certain things that you've asked in certain ways that I have a notepad where it's just literally a million copy pastes of things that worked really nice and the context of it. And I actually point anything I build at that notepad all the time, just to have it as a reference. The more information you provide it, the better the output's going to be, right? And so I'll stay in something like ideation as long as I possibly can, auditing it over and over, running it through all the same stuff that you've seen Agnel do it. And this is just on my personal time. At my job, I do it. There's people, like product manager is a person. It's not like an input field. So I can talk to someone like Prahasi that is an expert in their field and knows how to do all these things for me. They're in charge of scope, they're in charge of PRD, they're putting together meetings and talking to executives, all that stuff. Stay in the real world as much as you can if you can do that, right? Like, don't just replace someone because it's convenient. People are more powerful than these AI systems. We should keep that human element alive before we go full Black Mirror. But yeah, like I just.
So here
How's it
I
doing?
copied the personas. Like I took a screenshot of the personas, which was the last thing I didn't do, and then I just had it run here.
Mhm.
At this point, we just like yap a little bit until this is done.
Yeah. Is there any other questions while this thing loads? Other topics too, whatever you guys want. I know we cut through a few of them for time. Right here.
I mean, I still use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I do something similar to what you guys have, but I just create custom GPTs out of it. Is that something that's pretty much comparable to what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually great. Us on UKG, I can say like we also do that a lot. So even for performance reviews, we have like a custom GPT, right? We can ask it, oh, how did I do this? Write it better.
You just had me remember something. Like, so one of my 10% project that I'm doing at Meta is I'm trying to vibe code a version of me that can go to meetings on my behalf. And I feed it my daily summary every single day, essentially. And I've been doing this. A lot of people will post. We were encouraged ever since the beginning. You do like your weekly post on your internal whatever workplace page. But I've been so many calls all the time that I have like no time to actually do my job, that I've started a repository of everything I ever do. And then I'm getting to the point, because we've integrated with Gemini a lot, and we use the whole suite from Google Calendar all the way down to GChat, where I can just send virtual Danny to a call, and if someone queries it, it has everything that I know, which is, this terrifies me too, because it's virtual Danny's gonna replace real Danny at some point. One of the darkest things I did, and it's already shipped, so I could talk about it. When we were doing agentic AI at Meta, right? So I was designing, just to break it down really simple, it was for multi-stepped approaches where you can say something like, hey, read this group chat and then plan a dinner accordingly based on all dietary restrictions. And you know my friends more than I do, so just like handle that aspect for me. It got to the point where after I had finished all kind of like the design work, they were like, hey, Danny, can you stick around for a few weeks and just like keep feeding different UI treatments to this system? And I'm like, why? And it's like, well, we just want to use yours as the baseline for when it starts to generate it on its own. So I was just like, I was basically designing myself out of that specific job, which was really dark looking back on that.
What am
now.
I doing?
Yeah, it was like, is this late stage capitalism? Am I just finishing myself here? Like, it's just one of those things where I really had to stop for a second. I still did it, obviously, but.
So here, really quickly,
Go ahead.
my battery is dying, but
Dude,
here is
we're bugging.
actually come up with the plan of what he wants to do, and I just like gonna build it. Again, I can share all of this later.
He's getting his charger. Go ahead.
So I tried to clone myself as well. So I took all the YouTube videos I've ever put, scraped it, looked at LM, had it made an MD file out of it. That was the best things I've ever said. Then I go and I do the same in each quad in ChatGPT, because I use 10 different models.
Yep.
And then aggregate it, put into another compression method, where then I have a chatbot that's voiced and 3D
Oh my God.
that shows up at the meeting as a person with my voice cloned. And so I'm actually able to vibe code that, and I'm getting close to releasing it and having it actually be.
That's incredible.
And it's a smarter thinker than I am, because it's got the best of my ideas and the jump.
I couldn't tell you, but I mean, yeah.
You're gonna have your real assistant for yourself.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, is it could be a critic that can debate you. It can be an iteration machine that thinks of ideas you thought of 10 years ago, which you don't remember anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting to the point on a separate anecdote where I don't even, someone will send me a file and I'll just have Google summarize the file. I don't even read it. I just don't have time to read it. So I just want the one page and I already know what it's about, and then I can just give direction on it instead of needing to go through 40 slides.
The next level might be live avatar.
Yeah.
Live avatar.
Right? You send it actually into the meeting to see if they can see the difference between you and the avatar. We have another question here in the back, our good friend. Good, dear sir, here you go.
So I see so much data, outputs, and then what tools you guys are using to make sure the expected output is it's throwing expected output, and then I want to see kind of test-driven outputs. So what tools exist there now for the developers to make sure the garbage is not out there,
Yeah.
when there is a lot of data there.
Go ahead.
What tools are, so his question is, what tools are out there to make sure that the code that is outputted?
Whatever output we ask for, right, either code or data, right? So
Yeah.
to make sure, because every AI tool says, it might make a mistake, so make sure, it's correct. And then, look at that, how much.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're describing a QA team, really. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, so I have the luxury of having, a team of thousands of QA engineers that does all this for me. Like, I was working on projects in the past that will ship to IG, and we have a literal army of people that are just like testing everything pretty much day and night.
Wait, you have QAs?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So he's asking what tools are QA guys or anything in general using to make the AI output, right? Yeah. Honestly, what I can say about this is not a specific tool, but I mean you can come up with your own things. Like if it goes back to what I said before about the knowledge that you already have. If you know what the process is like, you can definitely come up with something that already reviews some, like the critique tab that I had here, for example. The critique tab already had the context of what I needed from the design side to sort of come up with a more summarized way for me to actually see what's wrong with the design, whether that's compliance, whether that's other things. The same thing could be replicable in, oh, this is pretty great. It could be replicable in other aspects. You have something?
No, I was just gonna say that the QA environment you're describing is probably the next iteration of what we would end up doing to the app that we just created today, right? And that would be best designed by a QA engineer, right? Like neither Agnel nor I, like my answer to your question was gonna be, I don't know. I don't know I know that the QA people are working tirelessly to get me data on what is working and what is not. And all I see is a diff that's posted and it says like, this is messed up, fix it, Danny. And so I don't actually know that process. But this is the perfect point where, like, let's say you're a QA engineer, you're sitting in this room right now, you're worried that your job is going to be taken over. You're the expert at that job. You should be writing the script for this kind of tool and maybe putting it as an add-on to one of these platforms or selling it or something.
And amazing responses and questions and everything. Maybe we'll have one last question and going through this workflow, and then we'll go ahead and close out and get some communication and conversations. And thank you so much for, I mean, this is amazing. Excited to see what it generated.
What's the last question? Blue shirt in the back.
So, he's my friend. So basically, you said don't replace humans. So he works for a financial company, and you're saying, Danny, don't replace humans. So basically, be the QA engineer and review the financial app they just made tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Let's get it. I'll send this to you. But yeah, this is pretty, I mean, it's not one-to-one to what the design was, but I mean, it's pretty close. Now, this is just an example on how you can, steer it into the right direction as opposed to like prompting it and let it come up with an answer. Now, if you want to prompt it and you want to come up with an answer because you don't know what the answer is going to be from your end, you do it. But for me, for us that we're more granular, this is the best approach. Yeah, so I'll just share this on the chat on the YouTube link.
Yeah, let's I think we got to wrap, right? Like we're way over time.
Amazing. Let's give it up for Danny and Agnel.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Now we're just going to say a few words before we close out. Prahasi?
Yeah, and we'll stick around because we're going to take a photo and everything like good stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. All right, who had fun tonight? Who learned something? Okay, good. That is the goal of our sessions. We want it to be fun. We want it to be interactive. And I was really impressed with the way Danny and Agnel ran the session today. It's something we haven't really done where you really all got to participate. And hopefully you got a lot of takeaways from it. And Danny, I really need what you're talking about, the virtual person going to your meetings, because as a PM, I'm triple booked all day. Agnel knows this. I have no time for anything, so I need to send my person to take my notes for me.
Soon enough, live avatar, right? Hey, Jen.
Yes.
Go ahead.
They'll forward you to the meeting, but if you get an open claw and you give it the link to the video, you can get all the...
Yes.
Well, stay tuned to that because March 10th, we're doing an open claw event. We're going to be having a few folks. Let's go. In fact, Michael Friedberg will be one of them. Software engineer at Oracle. He's been working on OpenClaw all the time. Amazing developer. So March 10th, we got the lobsters, we got the people, and most of all, we have the heart. So you know what? March 10th is going to be amazing at the AI Center at Miami-Dade College. I'll throw up 3 amazing speakers, talk about introductions, demos, and so forth. And also, let's give it up for Prahasi, amazing Fort Lauderdale chapter lead. Let's give it up. Let's also give it up for amazing. Thank you so much. And let's give it up also for Yulia as well for providing creating so much content and pictures and being a great volunteer for Deep Station. Thank you. And one last time, let's give it up for our speakers and presenters today, Agnel and Danny. Whoop, whoop. And believe it or not, we will be having a hackathon. Well, stay tuned. Still in motion, but next month it'll be international, the United States as well as India, and it should be a lot of fun. So later next month we'll be making that happen. We'll stay tuned. Prahasi, any words?
Yeah, I think welcome to stay around for a little bit of networking. I'm sure the Innovation Center will kick us out in a little bit, but until then, please chat, please ask questions, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Have a great one, everyone. See you next time.
Oh, and who can forget picture time? Picture time, picture time, up in the front.
Can
Woo!
we do one with just
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
presenters,
we
and
should
then
totally
we'll
do that.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, yeah, okay, we can sit down. Okay. Is it coming out okay?
Yeah, there you go.
Can you take it vertical?
Yeah, you gotta put it on the internet. More. There you go. I'll do one more like this. There you go. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And then we'll do one big group photo.
Big
So
group
everybody
photo,
come here.
big group photo, woo!
Photo.
I'm never good at getting people to come up to the front for group photos. I do have your phone. Yes. Here you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. I do that all the time. Our phone.
All right, some people get on the stage, get behind. Good job. Some people can get up on the stage.
I love the lobsters.
Shorties go in the back on the stage.
No, you can sit. Yeah, sit.
That was pretty cool, dude. Thank you so much for coming.
Come on up. Pictures, pictures, everyone. Pictures, pictures, everyone. Oh, and we got to get Yulia in here too next. Take a picture after.
You ready? Wait, we're just getting
We got one more. We got one more coming. One more coming. One more coming. Amazing, amazing. Oh, and here we go. We're all here.
Okay, can we say lobster, I guess?
There you go.
Lobster. Lobster.
Try to do this way too. Okay, now
Well,
say
you just
AI.
AI.
Perfect.
And now a selfie with you. We got to get you in.
Selfie.
Selfie. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Deep station.
Deep station. Deep.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. You all make this community possible.
Oh, we need a.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Hey, how are you?
I am doing good.
Grant. Grant. Yes. Yes, Grant.
How do you write your name?
Grant. Grant. Yeah, with a G. Yes.
How can I know about your events?
Absolutely.